folks, welcome to Legacy IS Academy. In this video, we will be discussing a current affair topic presented to you by your faculty Sushma PP. So, what is the topic that we will be discussing today? Re-entry of Chinese goods into Indian markets. Why now and what has happened? Now, first and foremost, to understand when we say re-entry, when did it get paused? See, this is coming after a hiatus of almost 4 years of your goods, Chinese goods, to enter into India. Why? Because on the backdrop of 2020 Galwan border clashes, we had stopped your approvals and also very strict and stringent import duties were put, as in scrutiny were put. Now what has happened is after your GST rate cuts, understanding, and also the demand has increased alongside recently in August when our Prime Minister met your Chinese President Xi Jinping, things are trying to be getting back to normalization where they have also resumed your direct flight routes between your India and China. So this particular thing as to entry of your goods, Chinese goods, to enter, or in this case re-enter Indian market, is a very important step in your diplomatic direction. Okay, now first and foremost, why was the brief, that is why was the ban or freeze? See, yes, we said Galwan clashes, but there were also other agendas behind it. First and foremost, why had we put a ban on your Chinese imports? First and foremost, your Galwan tensions, which broke out in your 2020, which further deteriorated the diplomatic relations between India and China. As a response, the government of India suspended BIS. BIS meaning Bureau of Indian Standards approval for your Chinese factories. That is, unless and until a product gets BIS approval, we can't use it. Like, it can't be introduced in the market, right? So, this had been halted. First thing, this was international agenda. There were also other agendas. What was that? Supporting your protectionism. See, first and foremost, we have, especially in the pandemic period, is when we could visualize how much of a chokehold that your China held in your supply chain mechanism. So at this point of time, all the countries were at a very important place, and when I say very important place, they were in a position that they had to make sure that some local value addition has to be there, and also domestic production had to increase. So we had to give an impetus to your domestic production. So, in order to align ourselves with Atmanirbhar Bharat, or self sufficiency, and also create a localized value addition, we encourage localization and import substitution. Cut down import by trying to do something in the localization, that is within the country itself. So, because of this, what happened? Your electronics, consumer durables, your industrial raw materials, everything faced severe raw material issues, and which also raised the input cost, production delay, and they were constantly telling, see, you cannot just halt the BIS process and expect immediately this will get an impetus. Localization cannot get an impetus instantly. You need to allow couple of years for that to happen. That was also the issue that was going on. Now what is changing, if you see, the BIS approvals, okay, has been processing, or the approvals have started from your DPIIT. What does DPIIT stands for? Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade. Now this has been begun to, let's say, whatever pending approvals, whether they're starting to look into it. And they have also told that certifications are mandatory under quality control orders. Okay, so much so that your BIS will now physically visit the factories overseas, including China, in order to meet the quality control. So, which sectors were affected because of this? Your electronics, household items, footwear, steel, and industrial inputs. Okay, so your DPIIT, that is your Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, asked the firms, see, as to what and all are the delayed certification, you give up, so that we will speed up the import clearances. Okay, so you will not suffer further. Now, before we see as to what happens, we have a small announcement from Legacy IS Academy. For those of you who are looking to kickstart your UPSC civil service journey, look no further. You have found the right spot with Legacy IS Academy, wherein we maintain our batch size at strictly 40 member per limit so as to provide you individualized and personalized attention. At Lexia as Academy, we also offer one on one mentorship, easy access to educators, daily mains answer writing challenge, a holistic current affair classes. We also conduct our sessions in both offline as well as online mode. For those of you who are working professionals and students, you can avail our weekend courses. We also conduct CSAT by trained IIT professionals. For more information, you can check out Legacy IS Academy website, or you can contact the number given. To see how the classes are for yourself, you can schedule a demo class either in the offline or online. Now, coming back. See, first and foremost, 2025. Why suddenly we are now putting ahead that yes, we will allow for your imports or your Chinese goods ka re-entry? The aftermath of this is because of your GST rate cuts. Your GST rate cuts meaning once the GST rate cut happened, price started dropping. Once the price of the commodity started reducing, and also at the same point of time with your tax reduction and everything, which started in the beginning of 2025, 2024 and all, there was a surge in the consumer demand. So people had the money now. Products have also fallen in price. So because of that, many people started buying it, which meant which sector was very much getting benefited? Your electronics, appliances, automobiles, all of this products were getting sold faster. So much so, what happened that the restocking of the items such as your TV, AC, dishwasher, all of this became difficult, which led to huge waiting periods. Okay, and also because of this, the government started prioritizing inventory stabilization, especially during your festival season. Understanding? Consecutively, previously, we were in a slowdown slump. Okay, so this brought back a good thing. First thing. Second thing, this also the restoring of the supply chain. Earlier, that was the bottleneck, right? From 2020 to almost 2024. Tak. So, because we have brought that supply chain back into consideration, this will reduce the price also. And import inflation also to an extent can be brought down. And domestic manufacturing, see, as of now, like how the investors majority mentioned, instantly you cannot expect to be completely localized, but value additions can be expected, whereas still your indigenous or localization is still evolving, budding. Now government is taking a more of a let's say a calibrated relaxation. That is not a complete opening, but more of a calculated move. Okay, where your BIS, Bureau of Indian Standards, is checking. Okay, one by one, case by case, they are allowing. Now let's see the diplomatic significance of this. Now this signals when India is allowing for a re-entry of Chinese goods, this signals a more of softer approach taken by India. Alongside this, direct resumption, direct flights have been resumed between your India and China, and your Chinese businesses are also cleared. And the meeting between our Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Xi Jinping has further accelerated. China has also resumed the rare earth magnet exports to India, and this was very important, especially in your industrial sectors. So, now we are trying to open up or trying to normalize the relations, but we can never go back to what was before 2020. Now we are moving towards a very calculated and one step at a time approach with China. Okay, you can't put all chips in, especially with respect to your China. So yes, India needs economic pragmatism, and at the same point of time, your let's say security sensitivities has to be adhered even by China. Understanding? So this multi alignment is what we see as of now with regarding to your Indo-China easing of restrictions. Alongside this, to avoid production slowdown and domestic let's say capacity should also grow, They're trying to integrate your make in India policy also, that is add value additions to these imports, right? And also, first and foremost, 2020, especially your post pandemic, your China showcased what a wielding power it has on supply chain. So it is high time that India does not put all its chips in just one country of China, but it rather diversify its supply chain to your Japan, Taiwan, Vietnam. Okay. At the same point of time, if you see what are the challenges ahead, quality control, that is why your DPIIT has told for BIS, that is quality control, to physically visit the foreign locations. And also domestic industry morale has to be also high, that is you make sure that localization also continued and avoid the dumping risks from the Chinese, which we have always seen. And at the same point of time, make sure that the future flare ups from your Chinese side should not continue. So India must strike a balance between self-reliance and trade liberalization. Understanding? So it is a balance of Atmanirbhar and globalization. Okay, so with this, we have come to the end of the content. If you like our content, subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, share it along with your friends. Thank you.